On September 1, 1859, the sky turned red over 4 continents at once. Telegraph wires caught fire without a power source, and within 20 years, every major city on Earth quietly tore the metal spikes off its rooftops. Nobody wrote down why. Let's open the file on the Carrington Event. The official story is clean. A British astronomer named Richard Carrington was observing the sun through a telescope at his private observatory in Surrey, England. He witnessed a blinding white flash erupting from the solar surface, a coronal mass ejection, billions of tons of charged plasma hurtling toward Earth. It arrived roughly 17 hours later. It struck the planet's magnetic field. Electrical currents surged through every conductive material on Earth's surface. Auroras, normally confined to the Arctic, were seen over Cuba, over the Bahamas, over the mountains of Colombia. Telegraph systems across Europe and North America failed simultaneously. That's the story. It's scientific. It's been in textbooks for over a century. Here's what the textbooks leave out. Carrington himself was cautious. In his own paper to the Royal Astronomical Society, he wrote that one coincidence was not sufficient to establish a fact. He wasn't certain the flash he saw caused the storm that followed. The certainty came later, decades later, by people who weren't in the room. And here's the detail that should stop you. Telegraph operators didn't just lose power. Some of their equipment kept working after they physically disconnected the batteries. Messages continued transmitting, drawing current from somewhere. Ask yourself the obvious question. Why was the telegraph the only system that responded to a surge this massive? Because here's what was on the rooftop of virtually every important building on Earth in 1859. Metal spires, copper-tipped finials, elaborate rooftop rods, on churches, on city halls, on universities, on grand hotels, in Paris and Beijing, in London and Lima, in Moscow and Mumbai, in Boston and Buenos Aires. Cities with no reason to coordinate their architecture were building the exact same feature, a tall, conductive, metal-tipped element reaching for the sky. The official explanation is lightning protection that works for a single copper rod on a barn. It doesn't fully explain what architects and restorers actually found inside these buildings. A French architect named Eugène Viollet-le-Duc spent decades restoring Gothic cathedrals across France, including Notre Dame. He documented internal metal structures of uncertain purpose, structures connected to networks of pipes and conduits running through the walls, structures that 19th century paperwork labeled variously as heating systems, ventilation, decorative ironwork that runs through the walls and terminates at fixtures in nearly every room. Ask yourself what that sounds like without the label already attached. Some of his contemporaries noted, with visible unease, that Viollet-le-Duc seemed more interested in understanding these systems than simply preserving them. Some of what he found was removed during restoration. Why remove infrastructure from a building you're restoring? Here's where the pattern gets harder to dismiss. In the decades after 1859, enormous numbers of civic buildings across the United States and Europe were demolished or heavily renovated, not because they were damaged, the paperwork says outdated, unsuited to modern use, but photographs of these buildings, taken just years before demolition, show structures that were sound, ornate, architecturally more complex than what replaced them. The replacement buildings of the 1860s through the 1880s are simpler, flatter, fewer spires, fewer rooftop elements of any kind. Once you notice it, you can't stop noticing it. Now here's where a real historical figure enters the story, and his own words matter more than anyone's interpretation of them. Nikola Tesla spent the later years of his career trying to access what he personally called the wheelwork of nature, a planet-spanning electrical relationship between the ionosphere and the Earth's surface. His Wardenclyffe Tower, begun in 1901, was designed to tap into it. Tesla insisted this wasn't purely his invention. In his own writing, the word he reached for again and again wasn't discovery, it was rediscovery. He never fully explained what he believed he was rediscovering, but he was specific about the mechanism: tall, conductive structures, properly positioned, interacting with the charged layers of the atmosphere to produce continuous current. That is a real, documented claim made by a real physicist in his own words. Make of it what you will. Here's the part that's hardest to explain away with routine urban renewal. The worldwide copper trade underwent a dramatic shift in the decades after the Carrington Event. Architectural and engineering manuals published after 1860 show elaborate rooftop spire systems quietly disappearing from the literature. Not argued against, not debunked, just no longer mentioned, as if they had stopped being a subject worth discussing at all. And there's a stonemason's diary from Edinburgh, dated around 1864, describing the removal of copper fixtures from a large civic building. He notes, with evident puzzlement, that the work seemed pointless. The building was otherwise in good repair. He doesn't explain it. He simply records his own confusion. His confusion is the entire surviving record. Several American university archives from the early 1800s list dedicated staff positions responsible for the maintenance of unspecified rooftop systems. The job title is real. What the job actually involved is never clearly written down. After the Carrington Event, those job titles don't get eliminated with any announcement. They just gradually stop appearing in the records. No scandal, no budget cut, no reorganization. Silence. Here's what needs to be said plainly. Nobody can currently prove there was a functioning planet-wide energy network built into pre-1859 architecture. Nobody can prove the Carrington Event destroyed it, revealed it, or triggered its removal. What exists is a shape, the outline of an absence. Architectural scars where rooftop elements were taken down. Job titles that quietly stop appearing in institutional records. Engineering literature that goes silent on a subject it once discussed at length. The same year modern electromagnetic theory was being formally written in Maxwell's equations of 1865, the physical infrastructure that didn't fit that new theory was disappearing from rooftops around the world. Not with debate, not with public reckoning, just absence. You can still find surviving examples if you know where to look. Older neighborhoods in European cities, the occasional untouched civic building in the American Midwest. Older university campuses. Stand under one and trace the metal with your own eyes. The spacing, the orientation, the way it was clearly built for something, not simply decorated. Scientists today estimate a Carrington-scale event striking our modern grid would cause trillions of dollars in damage. We call that a catastrophe because our energy system is centralized and fragile. What if, before 1859, it wasn't? What if the sky turned red one September morning and something in the built world quietly, permanently stopped working? Not destroyed in a war, not lost in a fire. Gone the way things disappear when the people who understood them are no longer there to explain what they were for. If this is a story you've never heard, you already know what to do. Subscribe and go find the next file they didn't want opened.